Good evening, welcome to The Buck Stops Here. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the program this evening, a day after India's cross-LoC attack on Pakistani terrorist launch pads, the propaganda war is well and truly being played out. On the one hand, Pakistani media has said that several Indian soldiers were killed in the attack. Then they've gone and released footage of captured Indian soldiers, they claim. Footage, in fact, that proves nothing at all. Without doubt, one thing is clear. The Pakistani establishment is smarting now that the elephant has finally struck. But the larger question is this: rather than hoping for more retribution, rather than pushing us to the brink, can anything really be done to de-escalate the situation? Will sanity prevail over egos? Will the sanctity of the line of control be genuinely maintained? On the show tonight, after India's cross-LoC strike, can military escalation be avoided? Well, my colleague Sudhir Ranjan Sen joins us for more details which are coming in of the operation yesterday. Sudhir Ranjan, what are some of these new details on how the Indian Army conducted this cross-LoC attack on these terrorist launch pads?
Well, Vishnu, as we have been reporting since yesterday, that this is a very, very well-planned attack, and more details that have come out only reinforce and reiterate that. What we are told is that the decision to strike was more or less taken on the day of the attack, on the day we lost our 18 soldiers. What we are told is even when the army chief and the defense minister was coming back, that is when the military was asked, give us a plan, give us a credible plan as to how we go across and how we respond. It is then that the shape of this operation started taking place. While India was launching its diplomatic offensive on one side, these terror launch pads were kept closely under watch, and the military, the NTRO and the RAW, all three coordinated together to keep that watch. Once the intelligence confirmed that yes, terrorists had moved into the launch pads, the go-ahead was given. Now the go-ahead was given on Wednesday. Soldiers moved Wednesday afternoon itself. Then began a massive deception plan. What we are told is in sectors apart from the areas that we struck, we had helicopters flying in pairs and several sorties carried out to divert attention. Subsequent to that, we opened up our mortars again to reinforce the fact that perhaps India is looking at these areas. And using this deception, soldiers moved in to the Nangi Tekri area and just opposite Nagaon. Now once that happened, the element of surprise was complete because the entire deception plan that was worked out worked very, very well. And it is because of this that it is only after that the soldiers came back that Pakistan realized that something had happened. Of course, there were lots of contingency plans that were worked out. Jammu, Pathankot and all these airports across had been kept on high alert with our assets ready to go to meet any emergency. Vishnu.
All right, Sudhi, thank you very much for joining us with all of those details, little nuggets of information coming in on how that entire attack actually panned out on the ground. But we're looking at the larger question. India has struck very effectively, militarily, on these terrorist launch pads. But what about de-escalation from here onward? So much depends on what Pakistan does next. Joining us to debate the road ahead, what lies next, with me, Manishankar Iyer. Thanks very much for being with us. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra with us. Lieutenant General Ata Hasnain joining us. We've got a big panel tonight. Admiral Javed Iqbal, defense analyst, joins us from Pakistan. Pavan Verma of the JDU and a former ambassador himself. Chandan Mitra, Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad as well. And in a little while from now, Lisa Curtis, the senior research fellow at Asian Study Center at the Heritage Foundation. I'd like to thank all of you very much for joining us. General Hasnain, let me come to you first. The attack, all right, we don't have General Hasnain just yet. General Prasad, let me actually come across to you first. The attack seems to have gone off very well from everything that we've heard. The Director General of Military Operations made a statement. However, there was this unfortunate incident of an Indian soldier inadvertently crossing over and getting into Pakistani custody. Now, it's very possible that Pakistan would likely make a song and dance of this. The fact that they have an Indian soldier and try and attach him to the attacks which took place, when in fact we know that he was not attached to those military operations. Is there a real danger, therefore, sir, that the impact that India seeks to make will have been lost a little bit?
Not at all, Vishnu. let us be very clear of two issues that are involved with this. First of all, when any Indian troops go anywhere, whether it is across the LoC or wherever they may be or whatever action they may be taking, every person has to be accounted for. You cannot hide anybody. There are human beings. If somebody gets wounded, he goes to the hospital, you cannot hide it. If somebody gets killed, you cannot hide it. Therefore, first point that needs to be clearly understood by the entire nation and all your viewers is that this operation, this surgical operation, was a fantastic success. Not a single soldier suffered any casualty at all. There was one soldier, I believe, who had minor injury as a result of a mine on his return journey just close to our own post. And that too also has been saved is what I believe to understand. Therefore, first part, every single soldier is back hale and hearty. And a lot of debriefings are going on. They got video clippings, they got photographic evidence and all kinds of things which not only you and I would want to know, but their superior commanders would like to know as to exactly how this operation went. So nothing can be hidden. It is as clear as possible. Every operation is videographed and is available on photographs.
No, sir, but you're talking about the operation. There is no doubt about the operation.
Success.
But let me
as far as this man from the as far as this man from the 37 RR is concerned, as you yourself said, this man crossed the line of control in Mendes sector where there is a barbed wire, but he seems to have strayed across. He seems to have strayed across inadvertently. He's a young soldier of about 20 odd years of age. He's from Rashtriya Rifles. And Rashtriya Rifles, as you will understand, is not even on the line of control. It's not even on the first line of defense.
No, but the fact of the matter is that he has gone across. General, just one moment, General. I'll come back to you.
No, in his attempt to desert, he's gone into the wrong direction.
Right.
No, I'll just come back to you. Let me finish this question. Therefore, for Pakistan to try and exploit this and link it up with this is completely outrageous. It cannot hold any water. Yes, it happens quite frequently. Our people cross, their people cross. There's a mechanism.
Okay, General, one moment. I've got a big panel. I will come back to you, sir. I need my other opinions as well. Mr. Iyer, is this, the presence of this one soldier in Pakistani custody, likely to be a problem for us?
I think it's a much smaller problem than the larger problem. On your channel, in another program a few days ago, I said retaliation is in our hands, but escalation is in the hands of the Pakistanis. And now the situation has changed. Retaliation is in the hands of the Pakistanis for what has happened. And thereafter, will we escalate or not? Now, therefore, there is an equilibrium today. It would appear, I see no reason to disagree with the expertise of General Prashad, that we have had a very successful military operation. But it's just one military operation.
Yes.
For only a few hours.
Yes.
And the Pakistanis are curiously downplaying this, claiming there was no such thing. And then today I understand they've been putting out videos where they claim that they have taken a number of Indian casualties. Now, is this an attempt to ensure that the situation gets defused and they don't have to escalate? Or are they trying to deceive the world while preparing
for something
to
larger.
respond?
Yeah.
So we have got ourselves, please remember that the word escalation comes from escalator. And an escalator is not a ladder. You don't have stages. Once you get onto it, you can only get off it when it reaches its destination.
Lisa Curtis, you follow Pakistani politics and the Pakistani military establishment very closely. What is your reading of the situation? Is this essentially the lull before the storm in terms of a Pakistan response?
Well, I agree with the previous speaker that there's a certain equilibrium in the region. And let me just speak for a second about the U.S. response. I think National Security Advisor Susan Rice's statement on Wednesday before the strikes, which was very much in support of India and calling on Pakistan to crack down on militant groups, I think that was actually an effort to deter India from taking retaliation for the Uri attack. Now, clearly that did not work, and move forward with a retaliatory strike. But now that it's done, I think the U.S. would have a difficult time criticizing India, condemning it, because the U.S. itself has taken action on Pakistani territory to deter terrorism, whether it's the strike against Mullah Mansour, the Taliban leader,
Lisa, we're just going to fix your line. It's a bit unclear. We'll just try and fix the line. In the meanwhile, just now there is a statement which has come in from Russia. I'm just going to read out the statement from the Russian ministry in connection with the situation on the line of control. They say, we are concerned with the aggravation lately on the situation along the line of control between India and Pakistan. We are calling on the parties not to allow any escalation of tension and to settle the existing problems by political and diplomatic means through negotiations. We stand for decisive struggles against terrorism in all its manifestations. We expect the government of Pakistan should take effective steps to stop the activities of terrorist groups in the territory of their country. So, Ambassador Dogra, would you like to come in on that? Russia has been a very strong partner of ours. They are also of late increasingly a partner of Pakistan. But the fact that they made this statement now, very, very important. Once again, more international support for India after our operations.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the first part of the statement had me a little worried.
Yes.
But the second part makes it absolutely clear that it is terrorism which is leading up to the situation of what is happening now. Russia, before that Sri Lanka, which was Pakistan friendly more than India friendly for a number of years, has very deliberately timed its decision not to go to SAARC summit for this afternoon. So, and South Korea has come out very strongly in favor of India's surgical strike. So, the list of countries which are coming out openly in favor of India is heartening. But at the same time, I would also introduce a word of caution that this is just the beginning. We don't know how it ends.
Okay.
So we have to be prepared.
Chandan Mitra, how does India work to de-escalate the situation, or is this onus not on us at all?
Well, I think the responsibility for escalating this conflict will lie solely with Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan provoked, India responded to the provocation. Pakistan should accept that it cannot really keep doing these things, coming in, killing our soldiers, killing our civilians, instigating misguided youth in Kashmir and getting away with it permanently. So we've struck back, we've hit back, and we have kind of taken out some of the terrorist camps. And I suppose the message is loud and clear. Every time they do this, we will go in and take out more such camps and defang the Pakistan's terrorist camps inside Pakistan. This is very clear. Not Pakistan really, POK. Now this is clear. Now after this, if Pakistan wants to escalate, the choice is theirs, but they know that the superior might of India militarily, politically, diplomatically, and the superior caliber of our troops and their bravado and their valor is much superior to theirs. So they will be doing any escalating activities at their own risk.
All right, I just want to also go across at this stage to my colleague Amitabh Revi. He joins us from the Wagah border region, where many parts of Punjab have in fact seen residents within 10 kilometers of the international border being asked to move away. Amitabh, what exactly is the situation around you where you are presently? Do you see a large number of villagers in that region moving back, schools being closed?
Well, actually, we are now in Amritsar, about 35 kilometers from the Atari-Wagah border. We spent a day and a half all along the border with those villagers there. And the reason for that is that over the last 2 days in that 10-kilometer belt, there is a blackout. Now, it's not an imposed blackout in terms of an electricity cut by the authorities, but they have advised the villagers to do that as a precautionary measure. So no lights in the houses, no car, headlights, and that's the reason why we moved out, because we couldn't have done very much there. And as farmers actually do, they go to bed early and rise early anyway. But yes, there was a movement yesterday on day one when there was a bit of a scare soon after India took that action, and there was movement voluntary again and more individually. It wasn't state organized, there was no transport organized, people were leaving. But what has happened now is that it's only largely the women and children who were sent out as a precautionary measure again. Being largely a farming belt there, the farmers, it's harvest season, there's just another 2 weeks for them to harvest their crop and then market it and sell it. So that is a big worry. So either they're staying on or they're coming back in the daytime, that is after sunrise, and leaving before sundown. So yes, there is a heightened alert, but this, of course, Punjab, all 6 districts, is the international border. That's why there's not a heightened anxiety. It's different from the situation in the LoC and any possible action that retaliation, as Mr. Iyer pointed out, could be taken by Pakistan. So there is awareness that the implications of this being the border and not the LoC is unlikely to be any action on this side, but there's no complacency, I can tell you that, either in terms of the forces or the locals. But those 6 districts, Fazilka, Firozpur, Gurdaspur, Taran, Amritsar and Pathankot, on a high alert, no complacency, but you have to remember they have to earn their own livelihood as well, taking into consideration the situation on the ground.
All villages 10 kilometers from the border being ordered to empty. But Dhanoi Kalan, about a kilometer from the border, is not a ghost village. They are already returning and most are not afraid of war.
ये लोग अगे आदी आ बार्डर ते रहने वाले आ इन्हां नूं पता ये बहादुर लोग ने भी अहीं इत्थे रहना आ अहीं फौज दे नाल रोटियां खवांदे रहे फौज नूं लस्सियां पिआउंदे रहे पहले भी.
It's harvest season, so the farmers are forced to either not leave or keep returning from sunrise to sunset. A stone's throw from the border in Mulakot, a mother and daughter happy to be back on the road home. Soon, the father and 3 more on a motorbike. Sukhvinder Kaur also brings back 2 big bags on her return.
We are here at Mulakot, and in fact you can see the international border, the fencing right here, and this is the problem that the farmers here face. Just across that is no man's land, and the green crop that you see is actually Indian. If you go slightly further, the patch there which is barren, that has already been harvested, and that's Pakistan. Now, over the last 2 days, what would happen is that the farmers were allowed to go across the border here, the fencing here, water their fields, if needed, harvest them. But for the last 2 days, they've not been able to do that. So that's a big problem in terms of the people who are staying here or coming back.
वहाँ अलाउड नहीं, वहाँ बड़ी परेशानी है. जो हमारा धान है वो भी पानी की वजह से सूख रहा है.
हम तो इधर से नहीं जाएंगे, बाल बच्चे जाएंगे. हम तो जब लास्ट दम तक कोई फैर ही खुलेगा, जहाँ बैरल से गोली निकलेगा, जहाँ तोप से बम निकलेगा, तभी छोड़ के जाएंगे. उतनी देर तक हम घर नहीं छोड़ सकते.
With Narendra Godavli, Amitabh Revi on the India-Pakistan border in Punjab, NDTV.
All right, well, that's the situation on the international border in Punjab. We're going to try and get a reaction now from Pakistan. Joining us, Admiral Javed Iqbal, the defense analyst. Thank you, sir, very much for being with us this evening. It's unusual. It seems now that Pakistan is speaking in all sorts of signals. You have initially produced an image of an Indian soldier in your custody. Then after that, there is no mention of him. Then earlier on, you have said that in fact you have many Indian soldiers who were killed or in your custody because of our attacks. And then there is a statement by Nawaz Sharif just in the last little while completely rejecting the Indian claims of carrying out surgical strikes. So what exactly is Pakistan trying to say? Have you made up your minds?
Well, I don't think, you see, there is any confusion here. Although I was hearing to you, this report from border. Yesterday, Wagah border was quite evident. It was quite evident there because stalls on Lahore side were full and on Indian side they were empty. First of all, I think Pakistan does not support any terrorist, and we condemn any terrorism anywhere. But you see, if there is a surgical strike, then I think India should feel happy that they have taken care of those who are, bothering them. So, but the real story is whether you kill, whether Pakistan also, we are also killing the terrorists. We have killed, our soldiers have also laid down their life against thing. Ultimate thing is that both the countries, being nuclear countries, they should understand that both the countries have the full capability to destroy each other. So I think this brinkmanship should not should not continue. Brinkmanship, Modi Saab, maybe, you know, for popularity's sake, do such stunts, but the really is the thing, it will not serve the cause, because these two countries, they will be the victim. And even if you kill, you know, 500,000, you know, so-called terrorists, the Kashmir issue, unless it is solved, it will not bring peace.
Okay.
So will
Sir,
you also finish Kashmiris? So
I'll
obviously
just come
not,
across, I'll
because
come
they
back
are-
to your perspective for a moment. It's interesting that you actually say that India did what it had to do. Ambassador Pavan Verma, I'd like to bring in over here, speaking in his capacity, not just as a political leader now, but also as a former diplomat. Where do you see the road ahead? Do you believe that it's now Pakistan which decides the course of action from here on end? Or do you believe there can be steps taken by India also to de-escalate the situation now that we've made our point?
No, I think it's just the opposite. I think for the first time in more than 2 decades, that India is in a position to give a direction to the manner in which it responds to Pakistan and forges its foreign policy with Pakistan. You see, Vishnu, a lot of talk is going about escalation. I want to say to you that there has been asymmetrical escalation now for more than a decade and a half. We had an attack on Parliament. We had Kargil. We had the carnage in Mumbai. We've had Pathankot. And we've had Uri, and I'm only picking up the larger events where there seems to have developed, under the so-called self-destroying awning of 2 nuclear powers, a doctrine of asymmetrical advantage by the use of terrorism as a state policy by Pakistan. And India, when faced with Pakistan's consistent policy of either explosive aggression through the use of terror or tactical appeasement when India seemed to be getting annoyed, we have been falling flat between every stool in handling this situation. We have indulged in dossier diplomacy, we have tried to have talks, we have done everything possible, but we have not been able to come up with a coherent strategy in terms of responding in a manner that would make Pakistan pause in this policy. So whether it is this government or another government,
but you would agree, sir, that this is that we have finally struck now that this is perhaps a new start in which we announce what we intend to do, or what we have been doing for a while, the most visible sort of signal of our intent?
I think it is a signal of our intent, and I believe that we should remain in a state of maximum vigilance, because Pakistan is an unstable state, and this will be seen as an affront to its internal prestige for the military in Pakistan. But the fact of the matter is that there was a point had been reached where it was impossible not to do something in the face of this relentlessly escalating spiral of the use of terror against India.
Okay, General Ata Hasnain.
There were very few policy options. You had to react.
Okay, General Hasnain, what if Pakistan attacks now? You know, it could be this tit-for-tat retaliation at a much smaller, more tactical level along the line of control. You would know of how these tit-for-tat attacks have taken place. It's no secret now that they came across to our side, that they've done it, and we have done the same to them. What if in this instance, and they've got their own border action teams and the like, they were to retaliate, and the retaliation was significant? Are we looking at, therefore, a very reasonable possibility of this entire situation being escalated?
Thank you, Vishnu. Firstly, Vishnu, I want to be very conscious of the fact that I am not responding to anything which has been said from across the line of control from Pakistan. I am not responding to Pakistan. I am not even addressing the Pakistani audience. I am basically addressing the Indian audience and an Indian anchor, which is you. And therefore, my views are very clear. What the Indian Army has done, and I wish to compliment the Indian Army and the political leadership for having put their act together and achieved this. What they have managed to do is to carry out tactical operations with a clear strategic message. That message has gone out that the intent is clear. What may have happened in the last 27 years or so is now past. We are now very clear that each time you do something like this, you will be struck and you will be punished. And we are willing to go whole hog on that. Having said that, obviously Pakistan, and in the current conditions where the Army Chief General Raheel Sharif has only got 6 to 7 weeks left in office and could very well be looking at the possibility of a face-saving operation, or even looking at extending his tenure, which is very much possible, as you know, in Pakistan. He's got a range of options which he will be looking at. The first aspect which you need to keep in mind is that Pakistan has denied that there has been a surgical strike at all. This is obviously on the perception or from the angle that they wish to give themselves time. They have been taken by surprise and they wish to give themselves more time to be able to respond, react and get their act together. Let's go beyond that. Once they've got their act together, what would they like to look at? Let's put ourselves in the shoes of the other side. Well, the range of options are once again strategic to tactical. Would they like to strike somewhere in Afghanistan, or would they like to, on Indian assets, or would they like to strike deep inside India? Once again, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Delhi or someplace. It's going to take a fairly long time if you think they're going to do that. So obviously the best option for face saving is the line of control itself and to keep it at the tactical level. With that, as you very correctly assessed, there are vulnerabilities. The Indian Army is on high alert. The Border Security Force is on very high alert. And despite that, any tactical deployment along the line of control will have vulnerabilities. I have to admit that. And therefore, border action teams, which are normally led by special forces and comprise terrorists, these teams can attempt to target. They need not succeed completely. The Indian Army is capable of thwarting these attempts. Let's be very, very clear.
Okay, sir, I take that. I want to go back.
The possibility is that they will attempt multiple places and possibly look for 1 or 2 successes.
Okay.